Hello, and welcome to something a little bit different for the Never Seen Trek sort of project. I'm here with Patrick. Say hello, Patrick.
Hey.
And we're doing a commentary track as voted by the followers and the Patreons. And thank you again to everyone who's already supporting on there. And we are going to be watching, as we record this, the episode Measure of a Man and discussing it as we go. For those of you watching along, we will be using the Netflix version, so if you're watching on a DVD, the timings might be slightly off or something. But we will get going in. Hang on, let me. In 3, 2, 1, and hitting play now.
We got sort of a typical opening here.
I'm just adjusting my volume so I can hear it and you. There we go.
Hey, Colm made it to the poker game.
Yeah. Uncritical support for any appearance of O'Brien. This is the first appearance of the poker table as well, if I recall correctly, isn't it?
Oh, see, I haven't been watching along with you, but no, that makes sense.
I know.
There's going to be a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's quite a
made-
trope as the show goes on, but
I didn't realize O'Brien made the first table.
well, he's the best character. Of course he
Right.
has.
Well, and Data's little visor just gets me every time. The clear visor.
Yeah, that's going to help so much, isn't it?
The downside is Pulaski's at the first poker game. But she won't be at the last.
No, I'm sure.
Of course, neither will O'Brien.
Ah, well, he's off at Deep Space Nine by then, I'm guessing. Sorry, that visor looks ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure on his action figure file card back in the day, Riker's talents were called out as shuttle piloting and poker. And little kid me is like, "What's poker?" Like, I learned about it, my whole culture from this show, basically.
Oh dear.
I mean, still basically everything I know about poker comes from Next Gen and Casino Royale.
I was going to say, I don't know a lot about poker myself, so this is going to be interesting.
I do appreciate how in this show, you win by bluffing and not from just like having a straight flush.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, those were all words I understood, definitely.
Hey, it's that.
I tend to just tune out most of what Pulaski said anyway, to be honest.
No, that's fair. It's Space Station Regula 1 again.
Oh, God.
Oh, I think having the ship up there might be a rare addition for the HD. At least I don't remember seeing that before.
All right,
It's a
okay.
great shot. I mean, I could just be wrong.
It is a very cool shot. I'm not sure I want to know the answer to that question.
I do love this dynamic as much as I think it's inspired by Court Martial with Kirk and the prosecutor.
Yeah.
But it's a nice thing to take some inspiration from as opposed to the plot
Oh,
of the
absolutely,
whole
yeah.
episode. It's also just nice to see Picard off the ship and in a little different circumstance with more of a pier instead of being so lofty.
Yeah, exactly, definitely, yeah. I enjoy pretty any example of a courtroom drama, to be honest, so I'm definitely, well, hopefully going to enjoy this one.
Well, the writer of this, Melinda Snodgrass, who's on Twitter, was, I think I could be wrong, actually working as a paralegal and wrote most of this on spec.
Oh, right,
The
okay.
writer's room always takes a pass, but it's her. It's really her core story.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's been so influential. So I'll take advantage over the credits to sort of beat the drum I've been beating on that of the whole first and second seasons of TNG. This is the only episode that could credibly make like a top 20 or even top 10 list for the franchise as a whole. And and it's been interesting over the years to see how it gets recognized. So there's a one-off character in this episode who gets mentioned a few times in subsequent episodes, and then they're built up into a key element of the Star Trek Picard meta plot.
Oh, right, okay.
It's this court case is cited in universe in subsequent episodes.
That's good. I like that. I think that's something that TNG is doing a lot better than the original series did in terms of just building a universe rather than just sort of being one-off every time.
Yeah. You gotta love these flirting based on noodle incidents.
Yeah. I always find it weird seeing Picard flirt, though. He just doesn't seem right.
Yes, because Patrick Stewart doesn't need to flirt. People just fling themselves in their undies at him. It is a fun bit of history, though, to bring up the Stargazer.
No.
Yes, it was lost under strange circumstances, and there would have been a court-martial.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the pompous ass line.
Yeah.
Oh God! And then
Oh.
in the follow up, pompous ass.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Sexy man. Okay, now plot is happening finally.
Good. Okay.
And the strangest admiral uniform yet.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, he will.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it?
Bald man solidarity. Ooh, we got Guinan incoming.
Still listed as a guest star, though.
Well, Pulaski Moldauer is listed as special appearance, too. Acting credits are such a strange thing.
Yeah.
Many SAG regulations. It's cute to have the Admiral not comment on the bridge's resident child.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He does look a bit smarter in his acting ensign uniform.
Yes, he does, yeah.
Just all the phrasing choices from here on out are so loaded. Work on your android.
Yeah, I was going to say that was...
It's just just watch what people say and watch people's faces. There's just a lot of subtle stuff in the acting and the writing.
Yeah.
When it first applied to the Academy.
Oh, dear.
Carter's like, am I going to have to slug someone?
Oh.
Nice to have the station in the background there, too. I don't remember that either.
Oh, yeah. A lot of detail.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've been wondering about. Obviously, they talk about Dr. Sun a lot. Are we to assume that he died with the colonists where they found Lore?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So he is gone.
Yeah. Well, that's the there's a little confusion at first. If you listen to data lore and then encounter at Farpoint, some things don't quite line up, and then sort of
Right.
going forward from data lore, some things don't quite line up. But it's starting to coalesce that basically, eccentric human inventor had some links with society, but not enough. And so people like Maddox at the Daystrom Institute are kind of scrambling to keep up. Like,
Right.
everyone knows of him, but he went off into exile, and Starfleet essentially had no contact with him for 20 or 30 years.
Right. Okay.
So then this scene is written so cleverly because you see the limitations of Maddox's knowledge here.
Yeah.
Picard with the important question: what are the risks?
Yeah.
Yep, it's third law time for Data. I've got to protect my
Yeah.
own existence if it doesn't conflict with anything else.
I feel like the point at which there is very obviously a conflict of interest with Maddox not liking Data should be the point at which they just say, no, you're not fucking doing this. The fact that he keeps calling Data it as well is really fucking annoying.
Yeah, it's very. But again, it's one of the things you keep paying attention to who uses what pronouns throughout the episode. It's very considered.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then another thing is Data doesn't react to it, but we in the audience react for him.
Yeah. Here we go.
Brent Spiner just like. I think he must have recognized really early that this was the part of a lifetime. And it really is maturing into fruition here.
Yeah.
And then really a lot of the groundwork for the Picard Data relationship is being done here too, and we'll see how that resonates all the way 30 years later to the modern franchise.
I bet, yeah. That was...
So this is part of the problem. And of course, we will revisit the idea of more data is good or bad.
Yeah, it's funny interesting that Picard's even considering it for this long. It's not... Kind of assumed that he'd just immediately be like, no, that's not happening.
Well, he's trying to play devil's advocate here, and then he's even getting like shamed into that. Like right now, I think he's still trying to satisfy everybody, but of course, this being a courtroom drama, we're gonna slam into adversarial mode.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it's an interesting tack for Star Trek because normally they start diametrically opposed and work toward compromise, and it's almost more of an hourglass structure here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Picard's got his head of steam now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the risk of getting yourself
I was gonna
operated
say,
on, experimented on.
Being disassembled is not one of those risks.
Getting sort of that Blade Runner influence. Like there's a line in a deleted scene in Blade Runner that always resonated with me. One of the other Blade Runners is making fun of Harrison Ford. You fucked a washing machine and you want to keep it now.
Right, okay. So I've not seen Blade Runner. I'm not sure exactly how to take that.
Well, it is a deleted scene, but it's emblematic of kind of the core conflict.
Yeah.
Are created humans human? And I do really recommend that movie and the recent sequel.
Oh yeah, I do definitely need to see it at some point. It's on the long list of classics that I really should have seen, but still haven't.
And yeah, just the stakes of this episode are established so rapidly. Like we're in the second act, and then like he's gonna walk off the ship. It's got to escalate even further after that. Taking that with him, because we all know he has no emotions.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah.
I'm curious if they how they do that scene. Like, did they have the right stock footage of Denise standing around, or did they like call her in front of a blue screen? I mean, who knows? It's just the kind of questions I ask myself.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting stuff.
God, do they just have this guy like, I don't know, they give him a sour candy before every scene? And like he barges in, he doesn't ask, he doesn't like ring the doorbell.
I was just going to say that, yeah, he just sort of wanders into someone's private quarters. That seems a bit... Oh, shut up, Alex.
Yeah, and Data calls him out. He's so compelled by Data, he's obsessed by Data, but he can't quite get it.
Yeah.
So now the poker game gets called back. Because normally those are just kind of interludes, but it's tied in with the theme here.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Get fucked, basically.
I think if there's anything a little bit artificial to the setup of the episode, no pun intended, it's this perceived urgency from Maddox. But he does seem like this super driven guy, so it's not...
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But what I do understand, and I think it's right for them to explore, and they should explore it more, if anything, is that you can construct a cogent philosophical argument that Data is not human and should not be treated as human. And it is interesting that they have these individuals of intellect and conscience take this position and really play it out for us.
Yeah.
There's the concept of the philosophical zombie. If something perfectly mimics a human, is it human? And if you don't work with Data every day, of course, you may have a very different perspective than Picard and Geordi and everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that's a fascinating point as well.
If he didn't look human, would he? Yeah. I don't know about that.
They actually play with that concept pretty comprehensively in a future episode.
Oh, right, okay. That definitely sounds like one to look to, well, definitely potentially one to look forward to. I don't know how good it is, but
Well, and of course, Data becomes involved in a really interesting way.
yes, of course, yeah. Well, that's a great quote to take out of context, Alex.
Right.
Just fuck right.
And, you know, I also really think Lavoie's got an interesting role in this scene of being alternately frustrated with both of them.
Yeah.
Like, she clearly thinks Maddox is a bit of a prat, but she's
Well, he is, to be fair.
Yeah, but she's got to consider him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know about Section 31 yet.
No, clearly. I mean, it's not the same level of sentience, though, is it?
But where do you draw the line? Like, yeah, it becomes a courtroom drama. But right now, it's a philosophical drama, and no less compelling for that in the way it's shot and the way it's played out. Like, I'm trying to give folks some value here by talking, but like I would just sit here like, and I've seen this quite possibly a dozen times. I've seen this episode, and it just never like slows down for me. Oh, hey, Worf is in this episode, and Troy.
Oh shit! Actually, that's the point. I don't think we've seen Troy in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, Marina Sirtis was really ill-served for a spell.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, like, if they're doing this sort of going away party for him, that not only is Pulaski turned up, but is right by him as well. Like, that's. I don't think Pulaski at the start of the season would have agreed with this.
Yeah, they're using her. They're working her in a particular way.
Yeah.
I don't think she ever quite redeems herself in my eyes, but lots of people disagree.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun because hardly uniquely, but in the Mass Effect games, you can actually play out a lot of this stuff with a certain character.
Oh right, okay. I've been looking at playing them at some point. I do need to get around to it.
Mm.
I've heard a lot of people saying they're basically discount Star Trek the game.
Well, to me, and it's more like Babylon 5 the game, only, you know, they have robots instead of telepaths.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Christ.
Well, shortly is where the idea of her only having one ensign in her office is going to become relevant.
Right, okay.
We've got a bunch of officers parked just offside.
Yeah, I feel like no, you can't have legal representation because we haven't got any staff is a pretty weak defense.
Well, but it's justified because, you know, it's still Star Trek, it's still a Western, and they're out in the boonies. So
yeah.
it's a clever it's a clever justification. And now we get into it being a stealth Riker episode because he's put into possibly the worst position of his entire career here.
Must we, though?
Yeah. I feel like that kind of... So Ron Moore, who is a future Star Trek writer, he's not working on it yet in this episode. He starts work next season. But he went on to showrun the new Battlestar Galactica, where the slur for Cylons is toasters. And I have to believe that's not a coincidence.
So, yeah.
That's a memorable line right there.
Well, I think if I remember, I don't know if it's a reference to this or not, but there's a lot of toaster-related, like sentient toaster-related content in Red Dwarf. Obviously, they have the toaster in the room that's constantly moaning about wanting to be more than a toaster.
Okay, I've seen most of Red Dwarf. I almost feel like that's more of a general like appliance humor.
It could well be, yeah.
But the idea of calling a humanoid a toaster based on its origin is very resonant with what they do later in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
which of
that's
course
another one I
is-
need to watch.
Which, of course, is very heavily based on Blade Runner, because they also use the Blade Runner slur of skin jobs.
Oh, right, okay. Savage.
So the Act 3 confrontation is all the strings are sort of being pulled together.
Yeah.
It must have been really challenging to pace this out, but I think they do a really admirable job.
Yeah, certainly seems so far, at the very least. It's
The complications keep sort of rolling in at a good rate, and every conversation or interaction changes something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very compelling so far.
Well, and just watch Frakes in this scene. Like, I mean, there's dialogue technically with the computer, but everything interesting is happening on his face and how he reacts to what he finds.
Yeah.
Just the idea of having schematics on one of your officers is so fascinating. I mean, I guess there's like medical data for everyone else, but
Yeah, it's the wording is very sort of, well, dehumanizing.
Yes.
Which obviously is the point, but
Ew. I don't know what this stardate means either, but this is what it is.
I did pick up on that recently. Actually, I was looking at the list of episodes to double check where I was up to, and a lot of, at the very least, season 1 of TNG. I'm not so sure about season 2. Is completely out of order in terms of when it happened.
Oh, sure. The one rule they followed is start with 4, and then the second digit is the number of the season. So they're all 4 2s this season.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they stick with that, but then, they go into the future with DS9. So, like, they start at 6, and then eventually it has to cross over into the 5-0s and the 5-1s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his citations, like, we thought he earned these well enough.
I love the implication there that, like, so many things from modern society don't exist anymore, but fucking Webster still does.
Well, of course. Like, this is definitely a not that soft retcon, because in data lore, everyone was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But this interpretation definitely takes over.
Yeah.
The reclusive but acknowledged genius. It's future-proofing pretty well when this is 30 years ago and these numbers still broadly hold up.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it's potentially slightly less impressive now than it was back then, but it is still.
Not by much. I mean, I think they were very much thinking of him as more of an artificial human than of a computer. Obviously.
Yeah.
Mega strength. I mean, she doesn't really explain why it's relevant. I think she just wanted to see him flex.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not.
Bend that modeling clay. Hey, continuity.
Oh yeah.
So this is the first time I think Riker let slip there. Like, he's putting on a hell of a performance for Lavoie, but with the comes to maiming him in public, that's where he kind of trips.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't imagine they actually necessarily go through it as such, but I would very much imagine that this would put at least some level of strain on Picard and Riker's relationship as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they follow up on that, but they certainly at the end of this episode they touch base with Riker, and really with him and Data, they figure out where they stand. And now he's saying, "It's." Is he referring to the dream or is he referring to Data?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now he's talking about Data.
Yeah. Well,
and this is an interesting follow-up of the off button and Pinocchio all the way back from the pilot.
oh yeah.
It's like 3 callbacks in one.
Mind you, is that I'm guessing that off button is in the schematics because at no point.
Yeah, no, it is in the
he-
schematics because it's otherwise it's private between him and Dr. Beverly Crusher.
That was what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when his face kind of lit up because he realized what his strategy would be, and then it fell because he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm an awful person."
Yeah.
But no, I like that idea of finding his vulnerability. It really. Oh, but now we have Whoopi coming in.
Episode's always made better when she turns up.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like every scene in this is electrifying, but she really comes in with,
Yeah.
who
absolutely.
she is and what she says here is so good. Because she saw the real issue immediately, which Picard didn't. So if there's even a chance Data is a person, well, people can't be property because we've seen that.
Yeah.
We've seen how bad that is. Whole generations of disposable people.
I was gonna say that hits quite hard, especially like coming from a black woman. That's very sort of
the way she plays it is absolutely perfect. Like, and this is what I love
Absolutely,
about science fiction, that the in-universe subtext is different than the out-of-universe subtext, and we get to respond to both of those things.
yeah, absolutely. That's something that I really enjoyed about Star Trek so far as well. Is how much that does happen.
Yeah, this plays emotionally perfect between, a black woman making a white man realize his privilege and what he's failed to see. But it works just as well in the in-universe context as well. Because, it's just generally her being a sensitive and insightful person.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've seen in Let That Be the Last Battlefield where the subtext goes too far, and this is a much more skillful use of that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I imagine it plays into, obviously there's the stories about Whoopi Goldberg's interest in Star Trek and her first seeing it. I guess it sort of plays into that as well, because that was very much the reason why she got into Star Trek in the first place.
Absolutely.
Well, the way she tells it, at the very least.
Here we go. It's about to get good.
Yeah.
So I love how one of the medals is obviously just a comm badge.
Yeah.
Ran out of time in props.
Either that or he just really wanted it to line up nice 2 rows of 4.
Maybe Picard has the harder job, but he makes a really strong case here.
I'll say, yeah.
Like, all Riker's stuff was kind of surface level. I wonder if he even was subconsciously sabotaging the prosecution.
I was wondering that, because it seems like that would be a very easy thing to do, given that he objects to the role so much in the first place.
The reaction shot.
Yeah, but
there.
not in the best of circumstances.
But it's such a great example of, we talked about this tons, but the circumstances of Crosby's exit from the show obviously being poor, but the show finding ways to utilize it in really specific and emotionally hard-hitting ways.
Yeah.
Her impact on them doesn't go away, and she might have just posthumously saved Data here.
Yeah.
And how proud would she be of that,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not that the show is bad now, but she very much was sort of almost a binding force between a lot of the characters for her time on the show.
Oh, yeah. So Picard cuts off his litany.
So, yeah, we get the fucking point.
Well, he made them read all of Data's citations into the record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll prove it then.
Yep. Well, that's the layup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're getting into the philosophy again.
Yeah.
I feel like that line is also very, very resonant, very deliberate.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They even have him say it again.
And depressingly as relevant now as it was back then, I think. But
yes.
Sorry, Maddox's face.
Maddox is not doing a good job here, but that's fine.
No,
because it serves the drama.
I think Maddox's accent is perfect for the role as well. It's very sort of antagonistic without being outright villainous.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and this actor has the most thankless job, but he's really, he plays maybe the most important role.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's so much more disturbing than if he was like this mustache twirling guy.
Yeah.
Here we go. The camera works so
But
much in
that's
service
improper
of what...
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying just the camera is so in service of what Mr. Stewart's doing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was going to say, I feel like that's improper addressing of the court, but I guess that's not.
Well, you know, they're out in the sticks, like I said.
Exactly, yeah.
And the idea of future-proofing, you know. I mean, he doesn't do it today, but at some point, this is going to happen again.
In other words, America.
Yeah. And I love that because it brings it back to Star Trek. You know, this isn't just an Android Right story. This is a Star Trek story.
Absolutely, yeah.
Different ways to seek out new life. So many mic drops this episode.
That was a nice line.
See? Told you. No, you're not.
Say that again.
Let's just wrap this up so I can claw Picard out of his spacesuit. Well, the pronoun switch happened.
Yeah. That's something that's used very well in this episode.
Mm. I appreciate that the ruling apparently makes irrelevant the issue of resignation because Maddox isn't going to go through with it anyway.
Yeah.
He doesn't hesitate either. And that just makes it so Data and so Star Trek right here that
I was just thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, it's very sort of...
He's not the enemy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
And in future episodes... Oh, he's remarkable.
Oh, yeah, the pronoun switch. Oh, they even call out the pronoun switch.
Yep. I think this is Snodgrass just putting a period on all her work. Like, did you catch that?
Yeah.
But no, it's a bit one-sided, but in future episodes, Data continues to correspond with Maddox, and it's just such a nice touch.
All right.
He's not a grudge holder.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there are emotional components to his makeup, but that at least is not one of them. He's not like Lore that way.
Yeah.
And here we get the
scene with
follow up. As usual, he cuts to the heart of the issue.
Yeah.
So many lines of the episode. I think that was actually Phil Farron's like line of the episode.
I died.
injured
Yeah,
me
I
and
can absolutely
saved
see
me.
that. I do feel like, as much as there's all this, especially in this episode, conversation about how sentient and how human Data is, that's very much sort of the way he interacts with the crew and the way he.
Yeah,
So especially
another thesis statement there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, oh dear. Yeah, that was Measure of the Man. Bloody hell, that's I can definitely see why that's
That's a
one of
lot.
the things. Oh, absolutely. It was surprising. I don't know if it's just that it went particularly fast, or it felt like there was less courtroom stuff than I was expecting.
Well, it's all in like that last act. But the rest
Yeah,
of it, but I
absolutely,
was
yeah.
saying it's also well paced, and it just like it pulls all the strings taut until you get there. You know,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
does it in 2 scenes, so it's spaced out, in a fair chunk of the episode, and there's the Guinan scene intervening.
Yeah, but even with that, it's never not compelling. It's always a
It's very consciously constructed for television, for the time slot, for the commercial slots. Everything is perfectly like spaced out.
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, that was that one. That was, I mean, straight away, probably one of, if not like my favorite episode of TNG so far.
Well, I agree, certainly.
Yeah, at the very least so far, yeah. But if like as you say, if it's the only episode of the first 2 seasons that are up there, then I'm very much looking forward to getting to season 3. I'll say that much.
Yeah, no, season 3, I say it's one mediocre episode, and then how many are in season 3?
That's
20.
20.
Yeah. So
2.5.
one mediocre episode and 25 classics. That's season 3.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
We're getting the. You know,
50
it's
episodes
season
ago?
2 still, but the show is really starting to become what it's going to be, and with the acting and the choices that are being made creatively, and there's still turnover in the writers' room until about the first third of season 3 is when it stabilizes under Pillar, and
Right.
they just like take everything that worked and throw out everything that didn't, and like they're on after that.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting to that. And obviously, in the meantime, another, 12, 13 episodes of
Yeah, I
season
mean,
2, I think.
and there's still good stuff. So Matter of Honor is one of my favorites, and you just saw that today.
Yeah, and I did
There's
enjoy that
some
one a lot.
there's some painful ones coming up, but then Q Who is the other classic from this season. And Samaritan Snare's got its moments.
I look forward to seeing those then. I mean, I think the show is definitely getting more enjoyable as it goes on. I didn't hate it to start with, but I think, obviously, like you say, it improves into Series 3. But I think Season 2 is definitely a marked step up from Series 1. So
Yeah, well, that's why they say growing the beard.
right, okay,
Because of
yeah,
Riker's beard.
that's a fair point. I've not heard that, but that fits quite well.
It's on TV Tropes, and it's a direct reference to Next Generation. You know, when a show hits that, kind of the opposite of jumping the shark, when it really matures into its fully excellent form. People sometimes call it growing the beard.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, that definitely tracks. I can see that. But yeah, that was Measure of a Man. Like I say, another 12 or so episodes to go in season 2, so keep an eye on the Twitter for that, anyone who cares. And we'll be back in a month or so with another one of these commentaries. I don't know what episode yet. We'll find out based on what you guys
see
vote for.
what's in the crosshairs. But
Yeah,
hey,
it's either going to be one of the best episodes, or people are going to try and subject me to something absolutely awful.
I know I voted in the poll. I was trying to I was trying to point away from this episode, but I'm glad I lost.
Well, I mean, the 2 most popular ones were this and Elementary Dear Data, which I can definitely see why people would draw towards those 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, until sometime next month, that's been whatever we're calling this, the Never Seen Trek commentary tracks, I guess.
Sure, yeah, go patrons. Keep doing
and thank you
your
everybody. So I think
your wonderful stuff.
I think we're up to 18 patrons now, so
Nice.
it's definitely a lot more than I was expecting, I'll be honest. I wasn't sure anyone would care, but thank you to everyone who has signed up. And yeah, see you next month.
All right.